Good evening. This is a meeting of the Plan Commission of the City of West Bend. It is Tuesday, February 6, 2024. We acknowledge a quorum of the Plan Commission tonight. I would invite you all to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The only Plan Commissioner absent tonight is Scott Schneiberg. Otherwise, all Plan Commissioners are here. Our first item of business is approval of the regular meeting minutes from January 3rd, 2024. I'll take a motion on that.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Justice, for the first and Paul for the second. Any comments, questions, corrections? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll then go into our action items tonight, the 2020 Comprehensive Plan and the zoning amendment. This is both on the same pieces of property. So I'm going to turn it over to Jim to get us started on these.
Good evening. So back in January, the Commission preliminarily looked at the land use change for the southeast corner of Main Street and Progress Drive. The property has recently sold, and the developer is looking to change the land use to a industrial land use versus the commercial land use that we had out there for that property. This change is to help facilitate the redevelopment of that property. Again, the land uses in the area ranged from industrial and commercial. So this is actually asking the Commission to consider the change to the industrial to help facilitate their land use. Based on the current uses out there with the intensive commercial uses that we have and the other light and industrial that we have out there, staff felt that this would be an appropriate change for the land use plan. Following that, if the Plan Commission feels that this is an appropriate use, we're asking the Commission to endorse the resolution that was in the packet approving this change. We have also set public notice for this. It's been published in the paper. We've had the notice published here at City Hall, the library, and also on our website. We also notified all property owners within 200 feet. Staff received one general inquiry. Based on that inquiry, the person was not opposed to any of the land use changes or the zoning change. It was just requesting information for that, so I explained that for them. Again, if the Commission finds this one to be suitable, we ask that you approve that resolution. And then also for the land use, or I should say for the zoning, we're requesting to go from the temporary zoning that we have out there right now to the M3 planned business park. This zoning is consistent with the industrial park that is off to the east and northeast. So we're asking for that to be established also if the Commission finds the land use to be acceptable for that. Again, we did the same public notices, the same person called and inquired about that, and it was just a general inquiry. So if this Plan Commission does find that to be acceptable, we would ask that they make a recommendation to the council for final approval.
Thanks, Jim. I'm going to open it up for discussion from the commissioners on, we can have discussion on both topics here, the comprehensive plan change and the zoning on this property. Any discussion on this topic? Justice.
Yeah, Jim, I'm just curious, this person that called on both counts, and you said there wasn't a negative call. What did you get a sense for what the reason for the call was?
He was just asking for general information on what it was about and what actual area was being rezoned or under consideration.
Okay.
That he had no opposition at all for the use or the change.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Chad.
Just a reminder, it's a public hearing.
Yep. I thought we'd just have discussion amongst ourselves and then we'll open it up.
I don't have any we kind of discussed this on a conceptual level last month, and any concerns I had were answered, so I don't have a problem with it.
We can continue discussion after public hearing, but at this point I would like to open a public hearing. It's good practice if I read this. And so this is a public hearing to amend the 2020 Comprehensive Plan for a change in the recommended land use from commercial to industrial. for approximately 3.8 acres of land located at the southeast corner of South Main Street and West Progress Drive. And the applicant is the City of West Bend, and the agent is also the City of West Bend. So if there's anybody from the public who would like to address the commission tonight, please come to the podium.
Motion to close the public hearing. Oh,
Second it.
sorry.
Thank you, Justice, for the motion to close public hearing, and thank you, Chris, for the second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll now take action on the same item that I just read, and that is to amend the comprehensive plan. I'll take a motion on that.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Jeff.
Second.
And a second by Chris. So this is the motion to amend the comprehensive plan. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll now move to a public hearing on the zoning amendment. It's zoning amendment 24-001. Again, it's the 3.8 acres of land located at the southeast corner of South Main Street and West Progress Drive. And this is to zone it from temporary zoning to M3 Business Park District. The applicant is the City of West Bend, and the agent is also the City of West Bend. If there's anyone from the public who wishes to address the commission tonight, please come to the podium.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Thank you, Justice. Motion to close, second by Chris. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries. We now need to take action on that. So again, this is action on rezoning the land, the 3.8 acres of land on the southeast corner of South Main Street and West Progress Drive from temporary zoning to M3 Business Park District.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Mike. Motion to approve by Mike, second by Justice. Any comments, questions, discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? And that motion carries. Thank you. We'll move on to a discussion item tonight, and this is a discussion and possible action on the petition to the Wisconsin Bureau of Aeronautics for financial aid projects at the West Bend Municipal Airport, and the applicant is the City of West Bend. Turn it over to you again, Jim.
Thank you. So every 5 years or so, the Bureau of Aeronautics requires us to update our plans for the airport. So tonight, we're bringing to the commission the, I guess you could say, the wish list or the improvement plans that the airport is hoping to do over the next year. And in order for us to get funding from the Bureau, this is one of the things that we have to set up and have the commission endorse, and then also have the plan or the council endorse a resolution also for us to be eligible for funding from the BOA. So in the packet, we did include some of the aid items that we're looking to go for, and it ranges from anywhere from some land acquisitions to easements to reconstructions of parking lots to a fuel station, windsock upgrades, taxiway and runway expansions, and then also runway clearing for maintenance of the trees within that area. These improvements are consistent with our comp plan that we have, our 2020 comprehensive plan, along with the other airport documents that we have for this. The Airport Commission did approve the list back in January on the 17th. So this was the next step to move forward, to have the commission endorse their side for these improvements, and then finally to move to the council for their final resolution.
Thank you, Jim. Mike Shaw is here tonight. He's our airport manager. Mike, if I could have you come to the podium, maybe just give us a quick overview of some of these projects and how we got here tonight.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. So basically, long story short, we have had a list put together. Our master plan, we have an ongoing master plan going on with the BOA right now. And a lot of these things were actually brought up in that master plan through surveys. So we basically, we're in a holding pattern, waiting for the master plan to be finalized. But in the meantime, there are several projects that we can petition for funding earlier, such as self-serve fuel. That's a big need of the airport right now, and we can get funding for that as early as this year. Also, there is interest in adding a hangar, so we have to develop a parking lot, and it will also help restore our existing parking lot too, and that funding is also available. We did not have those two items on our last petition, which was done in 2016. Plus, we're supposed to have this petition updated every 5 years. So those are the two big items that are in the more immediate need future here. But then also we have our expansion that we're hoping to get here someday, which is also included in this document. It's general. The BOA and FAA would like it as general as possible, so we're not tied down to a specific item. So it's broad.
I just had a quick question.
Yeah.
You have quite a list here. Do you have them prioritize them within your plan, like if you get partial funding, or how you would execute this list?
Well, basically, we do have a priority list of what the Airport Commission would wish to do first. But in the big scheme of things, they all get moved around depending on funding for that year and the likelihood of, the project having engineering done. So like I said, the self-serve fuel is probably the number one on most people's list. But then, in the big scheme of things, the master plan, or I should say finishing the master plan and the runway expansion would be the highest priority as a whole. It's really crucial to the airport.
Thank you.
Yep.
Chad?
Mike, what is the RPZ and the AWAS?
RPZ is runway protection zone. So basically it's the approaches on each end. The FAA designates so many feet off the end of each runway that has to be protected from anything being built, trees growing, stuff like that. So if an airplane lands short or long, they're not hitting any sort of objects. The AWAS is the Automated Weather Observation System. That is what gives us our local weather for the most part. When you get your temperature on your news and everything else, it's actually reporting off of that system here at the airport. Rain, fog, visibility, but it's crucial to aircraft that are coming in. They need to know what the visibility is when they're landing, stuff like that.
Just out of curiosity, does the upgrade replacement have anything to do with the outages that we had? Yeah, okay.
Yep. Yeah, that's one of the big reasons. We're having problems with it right now, in fact. So I was out there working on it tonight. So,
Thanks.
yep.
Any more questions? If not, we need to take action on this to send it to council would be the next step. Plan Commission needs to send this to council, so I'll entertain a motion to petition the Wisconsin BOA for financial aid projects at the City of West Bend Municipal Airport.
I'll move to approve.
Thank you, Jed.
Second.
Thank you, Justice. Any more comments, questions?
Thank you for all your hard work out there.
No,
Great,
no problem.
Really appreciate
Thank
it.
you guys for supporting the airport too.
Of course, of course.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Mike.
Yep, have a good night.
Thank you. Our next is a presentation of the downtown master plan, and our Assistant City Administrator, Jess Wilds, is here. Jess, I'd like to ask you to kind of kick this off as it relates to the downtown reconstruction, kind of how this relationship with GRAEF started, and then if you could introduce Craig.
Sure, happy to do so. I'm Jess Wilds, the Assistant City Administrator. Thanks for the introduction. This project kicked off at least a year ago. Jay Shambo and I were looking for additional private sector support of a facade program that we have in the downtown already, and met with some of the leaders of our community in the private sector, and had several conversations about that program in particular, and that opened up a conversation that was much broader in terms of having a long-term plan, an action plan for the downtown area. So over the course of the last year or so, we've met with this group of private sector leaders who have funded this downtown master plan and have had a number of meetings, public information sessions, and public input. And GRAEF, Craig Huebner, who is here today representing GRAEF, is the consultant that was selected to lead the project. And we are at a place now where we have a full draft of the plan, more than a draft. He'll talk through it tonight and provide more information and a recommendation to you. But yeah, so that's where we're at in the process. We're excited about it. We're excited to have a plan and vision for the future for the downtown. A lot of exciting things have taken place over the last several months, especially with the completion of the Main Street project and the Riverwalk and so much more. So this is just a part of that ongoing process to continually improve.
Thank you.
Craig?
Great, thank you, Jess. Thank you, Mayor and Plan Commission for inviting me here. So again, my name is Craig Huebner with GRAEF. For those who aren't familiar with GRAEF, GRAEF is a full-service engineering design firm in Milwaukee. Our headquarters are in downtown Milwaukee. That's where I'm located, and I lead our planning and urban design team. So this has been a very exciting project. I'm excited to present it to you here tonight and answer any questions that you have, with the hopes that this would go forward to your council and be adopted as a formal plan for the community. So why this plan? Downtown West Bend, the last time that a focus plan was looked at for downtown was in 1999. There was also a riverfront focus vision that was 2006, but we're over a decade old, so we really wanted to look at what's happening currently there and then how do we forecast the next 20 years for the downtown area. There's a desire for a lot of recent activity there to fit into a larger picture. So there's great stuff happening, but how do we ensure that those recent developments are really leveraged and fit well with future development opportunity in downtown? And then the third item there, this private sector group, and there's a lot of opportunity for immediate actions. Within the first even 3 years, there's things that the city could do, but also business owners, private property owners can do to downtown to really make it a vibrant place. So what I hope to do today, I'm just going to give, hopefully a 10-minute presentation overview and then open it up for dialogue. So this process began in early 2023. You can see on the right the general project boundary for downtown that we drew, and I'll take this boundary with a grain of salt. We always are asked to draw a specific boundary, but those lines are fluid and things adjacent to this boundary impact obviously the downtown. So this is the general focus that we use for this plan. And as we dug into this, the final deliverable actually in your packet are two separate report documents. One is what's called a streetscape master plan, which, as you could guess, is really focused more on the vision of the streets and streetscape elements and what the future of those roadway, public right-of-way is designed as. And then the other document is a downtown master plan, and that's inclusive of things like public space design, Riverwalk improvements, private sector redevelopment opportunities that can happen over the long range of 20 years. As part of this process, as Jess mentioned, there was several forms of engagement, including interviews with your elected officials, with different stakeholders, property owners, business owners. There was also a citywide online survey that was sent out, and I just wanted to touch on a couple of those highlights of the responses from that community-wide survey, in which we received 672 responses that you see there. So of those respondents, you can see the next couple of slides will show kind of a chart, and then on the right were some of the key insights. So as far as how often people frequented downtown, it's interesting to note that over 50% of respondents visit at least once per week. So you have an attractive, vibrant downtown that's attracting your residents, which is a great thing to have. When we asked what do you like most about visiting downtown West Bend, respondents selected the restaurant options, walkable environment, and the Riverwalk and river access. When we asked what people disliked about visiting downtown, key comments were parking, new construction, and lack of scenic views of the river from Main Street. What I like to say with this is there's a lot worse things that people could dislike about a downtown construction. Yes, I can understand the hardship of that, and especially Main Street was a long process for a lot of those business owners, but in the end product, I think that's a positive, obviously, for downtown. So I think these are things that can be looked at positively as well. What improvement would help would help you visit downtown West Bend more often. Comments received there were better use of underutilized properties, a multi-season outdoor seating and dining, as well as public restrooms were top comments that we heard. When we asked what uses are most important to bolster downtown, we heard diversity of shopping options, again, multi-season outdoor dining, and entertainment and nightlife. So within the downtown master plan, we preface it with this plan vision and guiding principles. And I won't read all the guiding principles, but I'll read the vision statement, which says, celebrate the downtown as the focus of community life in West Bend and the keeping place of community heritage. What's important with this is within this plan, there's different recommendations, and some of these are short-term, but a lot of these are long-term too. So the point of this plan is any new development that comes forward or even any city project, the city should look to this plan document and this vision and these guiding principles as one lens of how this development would move forward and is it meeting the goals of this vision in the master plan. Within the master plan itself, then there's 4 kind of broad categories of recommendations that are included in this plan. So those 4 categories are an urban design framework, which I'll show an image of in a second, recommendations on circulation and parking, recommendations on development and redevelopment. This is again both with city-owned public properties and also privately owned properties that have either noted desire to redevelop or they're underutilized properties or properties that are likely to see development over the next 20 years. And then the final category is placemaking and activation strategies. And these again are immediate actions that could take place in the next 3 years, either by the city or by private entities. So urban design framework, what this is kind of the master plan's overarching guide for all of downtown. So what it includes is a map diagram of your entire downtown. And then on the right, I've kind of zoomed in on the different categories. So these are different recommendations for enhancements or improvements to downtown. So you see things like gateways, street face or character areas. These are important streets where ground level uses or design of the buildings are important to create a pedestrian-friendly, walkable environment. Public gathering spaces, these are both existing gathering spaces and also some potential new ones. Redevelopment opportunities in the orange circles, different sites identified there. Streetscape enhancements. The next 3 categories are different building character, so historic sites are identified. Historic buildings or contributing historic buildings, I should say, and then buildings with potential preservation opportunity or adaptive reuse. Being a downtown area, obviously, we don't want to lose the character of your downtown, but we also want to not deter new development from coming in. So it's important to have that complementary mix of new and old. The next category is place-based connections improvements. These are really more pedestrian or bicycle connections. How do we get people from existing destinations in downtown and make it feel pedestrian friendly where they could park farther away and make their way to different destinations in downtown? And then facade improvements. This is geared primarily towards the rear side of Main Street buildings, focused on the riverfront. We've already seen a lot of upgrades in a lot of these buildings, but that again is the emphasis of this plan identified here. So within the plan document, each one of these categories has more specificity and recommendations, but what this map does, it's kind of a first take that city can use, or also private sector business owners or entities who would want to come and understand kind of what the city plan is. Within the streetscape master plan, don't worry, I won't read this, but there's different recommendations for all of these different categories: roadways, parking, streetscape, amenities and materials, wayfinding signage, brand and the sense of place, and maintenance. All of these are included within the streetscape master plan as far as recommendations for the future. 2 diagrams within that streetscape master plan. So on the right, every single street in downtown is now identified as kind of a future vision of what that street could look like, including some of them are more intensive than others, including potential complete road reconstruction. And some of them are more minor, like this street could use some, upgrade in its amenities, some benches, street trees, or some of the things like that. On the left side here, you see a diagram. The plan includes existing parking downtown. One of the recommendations within the plan is the potential opportunity for future shared parking structure location. So there's 3 dots that you can kind of see on this diagram. One is the fire station site off of Highway 33. Another one is the current city-owned lot off of 7th nearby the post office. And then the third potential location is the current Westbury Bank site. So these 3 sites were identified because they have high visibility for visitors who would come in. They're a little bit at the perimeter of downtown, but they also have physical large enough tracts of land that would accommodate a parking structure. And the key with these as well is this would not be a city-led, city-alone project. All of these sites, the intent and desire would be for these to be a joint private-public venture where there would be private sector development at these sites, where the private development could utilize some of the structured parking, but also have spaces available for the public to come here. So it's a cost-sharing opportunity for the downtown that would benefit both public and private. Here are 2 examples within the Streetscape Master Plan of different street visions for the future. So State Highway 33 is identified as a business arterial street. It's one of kind of the gateway entry points to downtown. And the vision that's identified here is the exploration of taking the existing 2-way left turn lane in the center of the roadway and actually replacing that with a raised planted median that would allow for some landscaping and also some signage that could welcome people to downtown. On the south side of the roadway, there's also properties that could allow for some right-of-way expansion that would allow for wider sidewalks and more of a pedestrian-friendly experience as you enter into downtown again. On the right is a vision for 6th Avenue. 6th Avenue, the plan identifies as a potential for another really destination street. So Main Street, we would say, is already a destination street in downtown. 6th Avenue, we see another potential for that, where there's existing smaller shops along the street, but also a lot of larger tracts of land that potentially could see redevelopment. So the idea with this street is it could become what's called a shared street, meaning that it's designed to feel much more like a pedestrian, almost plaza space that still allows for vehicles and driving, still allows for on-street parking, but again, it's designed to have wider sidewalks, allow people to cross back and forth to the different shops, and improve kind of the visibility of pedestrians on the street. Within the Streetscape Master Plan, as I mentioned, there's other recommendations. On the left, we identify every street for future proposed street tree locations. We identify either locating them in bump outs or within the terrace space, or some streets just aren't wide enough to accommodate street trees. So this is a tool that the city can use moving forward to understand where street trees could be provided. And on the right, we identify different wayfinding locations for different elements within the downtown as well. Within the master plan, we identify on the left is a diagram showing the different development and public spaces. So each one of those circles, again, includes a narrative of what that future development could look like. And then a few of those circles include some more specific actual drawings or concepts of what that could look like. So on the right is one such example. This is just off of Main Street, just south of Mill Street. So if you can imagine, the river is on the right there. You have your beautiful new river walk and kayak launch to the left. But what has been discussed and envisioned here is how do we create a public gathering space adjacent to the actual river walk? So what's visioned here is the existing private parking lot that's located here is transformed into more of an outdoor gathering space with potential for outdoor playground or family-friendly features that would be more of a welcoming element into the downtown as people come in along the Riverwalk. As I mentioned, the plan also includes more immediate actions, what we call placemaking and activation strategies. So within the document on the right is just a snapshot of what these are, but there's items like parklets, creative outdoor seating, facade improvements, greening Main Street, outdoor dining, decorative lighting, family-friendly features, and river-focused programming. All of these, again, are potential for either the city or private leaders to take up these documents and either receive grants that the city has in place already or know that the city is interested in these types of activities to really create activation and excitement for the downtown area. And I'll close, this is my last slide. This is already starting, so we have beautiful Main Street is done with construction, but the desire now is to look for some potential greening of Main Street, so adding planter pots, some larger pots that actually are large enough to have some smaller ornamental trees. Hanging flower baskets from the street poles are starting to be explored so that we can include that as part of Main Street. So it's an exciting step 2 of Main Street. You didn't think it could get any more beautiful, but that's the hope, continuing it moving forward. So that's the summary that I have. I know it's a lot of content, but I'm open to questions and excited to have a discussion if there are any. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. This plan document is, 165 pages, and you did it in about 15 minutes, which was which was nice. But the work that's gone into it, the city reconstructed Main Street. I mean, new street, sidewalks, took care of some bump outs and things like that, light fixtures and Christmas decorations and things. This private group came together really to talk about the future and how to make it more beautiful, as you said, than it already is. And the project that's already been completed can't be understated. I mean, it was huge, but putting a plan together, talking with city leaders, with private leaders and things, and we're at the point now where, we'd like to recommend this to the council. Certainly some really cool things in the project. They're not going to happen overnight. But as you talk about new developments and things that, we can look through this lens of this plan and make sure that it's kind of what we want the future of downtown to be. So anyway, that's my little commentary. But any questions, thoughts, feedback?
I thought it was really well done. I thought it's kind of like the North Star for downtown, right? It's going to be the guiding principles. That was well done. I love the partnership that you mentioned, Joel, for public and private, because it's not going to get done with one side or the other alone, right? So really well done.
Good.
The people who hired GRAEF to do this are longtime West Bend civic leaders who literally travel all over the world in their personal lives and their professional lives, but have such a heart for West Bend, and I can't thank them enough for really kind of putting this plan into place. And then through the surveys, through community feedback, interviews, there were 2 different public sessions that were held a couple of weeks ago down at the Bend, and so getting input obviously from all the residents of West Bend, it's exciting. With that, if there's no more questions, comments, discussions, I'll entertain a motion. So what we're looking for is a recommendation to move this to the Common Council. Thank you, Paul.
Second?
No, that was Jed.
I'm sorry, Jed. Thank you, Jed, for the motion. Second by Justice. Any comments, questions? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Craig, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Jess, Mike, thank you very much. And with that, we are adjourned.